The breakout of the Syrian war in 2011 found me in a sore, vulnerable state of being. Unpaid bills kept rising relentlessly. Cold, cynical ruthlessness I had never experienced before. I became overwhelmed by a strong urge to do something. Broke men with massive debts don't do charitable fundraisers, bro. You dig? Returning to Norway after 2011 Mandela Day event, I was in high spirits, feeling strong. It became as clear as day in my mind that Bashar al-Assad would be toppled eventually. In politics, only a matter of time can be anything. I was finally officially declared insolvent in October 2015. I was crushed. Over 1 million fleeing Syrians contributed to an acute refugee crisis in Europe. My depressed soul, suffering peacefully in South Africa, was failing to process the gruesome carnage images shown on daily TV news. The poem titled Cannot Be Right, I wrote on February 13th, 2016. ChatGPT says that this poem is a powerful emotional critique of the human cost of war and the refugee crisis. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the moral imperative to help those in need. Ever cried underwater? At this very moment, I cry with grief as flowers wither and die in the Syrian desert. There is no Wi-Fi broadband into my father's grave. I'm wearing old, faded, tattered clothes on my body. There perishes my love. I don't have money to call my mother to say, I love you. Stay broke till there's nothing left to genocide for in Syria. By the beginning of 2011, it had become clear to me that only a miracle would save my business. I had bled far too much money against the ever-declining revenue generation since the brutal autumn 2008 global finance crisis knock I had to endure. Unpaid bills kept rising relentlessly. The mutual cordiality that had previously existed between my business associates, clients, and other relations had hit rock bottom with some. There was so much real negativity around me. I felt alone and isolated. I felt smaller than in a long time. With no rich uncle of mine around to save my backside, I knew that I only had myself to get me out of this mess. Whereas I was raised to, if and when necessary, fight my own battles to victory, that situation was the most challenging ever. Cynical, cold ruthlessness I had never experienced before. Believe me, you don't want to be poor and owe the state and the banks big monies in the form of outstanding taxes, loans, and other bills from various impersonal creditors. That perhaps may have been one of the prime reasons that I privately, unusually reacted so viscerally intense. The plight of children, women, the elderly, the sick, and the vulnerable moved my mind and feelings in a manner I had never before experienced. I became overwhelmed by a strong urge to do something. Go fight. No good. I know no crap about the military warfare. The whole thing's just too complicated for my brains anyway. I ain't no dog of war. Okay, donate some money to the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders or some other similar emergency aid organization. No good. You broke, bro. Remember? Have an open day at work, invite clients and patients to come and have extra treatments, massage therapy, reflexology, coaching, and others at donation prices. The day's revenue to be donated to the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, and or others. Still no good. Broke men with massive debts don't do charitable fundraisers, bro. You dig? No deal. The ultimate workable solution was to volunteer my skills on Mandela Day, July 18, 2011, in my hometown, 𝗪𝗏, South Africa. I had a eureka moment at this whilst I was working with a patient in Oslo 3 weeks earlier. Joined by my beloved younger sister, 𝗪𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗍, we treated between 67 and 100 elderly citizens and other underprivileged community members during a 6 hours shift. We worked from the grounds of the 𝗪𝗿 Catholic Church. This was a very successful and popular event, such that it inspired us to repeat it in 2013. Between 2013 and 2015, I would volunteer more of my services at the 𝗪𝗿 Old Age Home. Here, I trained a specialized health and wellness team that has taken the institution's community service package offer to the next level. Returning to Norway after the successful 2011 Mandela Day event, I was in high spirits, feeling strong and with my optimism back. At some point during the course of the ever-exciting autumn work season the same year, I found myself in an intense verbal war with a disconcerting, condescending, cantankerous man. The matter concerned aspects of leadership contra divergences from set organizational management routines towards certain goals attainment, both by the leaders and organization members. It was during the heat of this discussion that the ongoing Syrian war at that time crossed my mind. It became as clear as day in my mind that Bashar al-Assad would be toppled eventually. It was only a matter of time. In politics, much as in many other life-changing events, only a matter of time can be anything. Assad's reign recently fell on December the 8th, 2024. I had already envisioned and captured Assad's fall in a poem I would write in 2016. I shall soon read the poem below. The beginning of 2016 found me in the third year of my unintended prolonged stay in South Africa. I had closed the shop in June 2013, even more weary, poorer, and less focused than in 2011. I needed a break after 7 years of back and forth in the Norwegian judicial system. I was finally officially declared insolvent in October 2015. I was crushed. Everything and everybody around me was dark. Depression had hit me hard at last. I had seen it coming though. Fortunately, it wasn't easy, but I knew what to do to deal with it. It was only a matter of time. Hang in there, keep the faith, breathe, keep moving, do the right things. In the meantime, the 2011 Syrian war had degenerated to a level where 1 million fleeing Syrians contributed to an acute refugee crisis in Europe, with some countries in Europe, such as Hungary, taking draconian measures to keep out the refugees. The latter used the precarious and even mortal alternative routes and methods to get into Western Europe. as is customary, topping the statistics of the acutely suffering and dying were children and women. With the Syrian conflict dominating the global news media, it was impossible not to follow it all with much bewilderment. My depressed soul, suffering peacefully in South Africa, was failing to process the gruesome carnage images shown on daily TV news. That I, despite all this, could write my thoughts and feelings down was and continues to be a liberating cathartic exercise. Writing has been a powerful companion in hard times for me since my early teens. If I can write about it, I can face it head on. If somebody must die, it won't be me. It was whilst I was reflecting on my suffering peacefully state in South Africa contra those people suffering in wars, particularly Syria in this case, that the poem I've spoken about above materialized. The title is Cannot Be Right, written on February 13, 2016. I asked ChatGPT to analyze some stanzas of the poem. ChatGPT says, and I quote, "This poem is a powerful and emotional critique of the human cost of war and the refugee crisis. Here are some key points. 1. War's devastation. The poem vividly describes the horrors of war with references to the Syrian desert, smoke and bloody dust. The mention of the white helmets and the Syrian oil fields inferno underscores the chaos and destruction. 2. Critique of materialism. The speaker contrasts their inability to afford basic necessities like phone calls and new clothes with the dire needs of refugees. This critique of materialism questions the morality of prioritizing wealth over human lives. 3. Loss of faith. The poem touches on a crisis of faith with the speaker questioning the will of Allah in the face of such suffering. This adds a layer of existential despair. 4. Call for empathy. The poem is a plea for empathy and humanity, urging Europe to show compassion to the refugees like little Farah and little Ali. It emphasizes the moral responsibility to provide liberty and peace to those who have survived war and perilous journeys. 5. The poem ends with a strong rejection of war and materialism, emphasizing a desire for peace and hope. The raw language used in the final lines underscores the speaker's frustration and desperation. Finally, the poem is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the moral imperative to help those in need. Close quote. And the poem goes, war reality alive, children die, cannot be right. At this very moment in Aleppo city of Syria, Putin's bombs have just rained down in claimed pursuit of Daesh. Little Sarah's body is shred to pieces. Little Abdullah's body is by waves of fire charred to ashes and goes up with smoke and bloody dust of war. Parents wanting to believe it's all hallucinations curse Allah. If this is His willing, then He's not so great anymore. May the next bomb land on us, insha'Allah. Please, 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 Allahu Akbar. They, with soundless voices, wail in agonized helplessness, with cheerless ducts like Madiba's, wishing they were Wi-Fi broadband to Allah. At this very moment, little Miriam and little Mustafa, clutched in parents' arms, are searching in vain for Western freedom and peace at the bed of the Mediterranean Sea. Dead. The bombs had missed them. So Allah's willing overloaded their escape boat. It capsized. They failed to breathe underwater, more horrified by the sound of the tons of seawater pressing densely into their ears than any bombings. It's just as well there's no Wi-Fi broadband to God. ever cried underwater? At this very moment, I cry with grief because I'm broke, as in bankrupt. Valentine's Day tomorrow, I'll lose yet another woman I love because I don't have any money to call her on the phone, let alone buy her a romantic present. I see her walk out of my life as flowers wither and die in the Syrian desert. Whatever little fragrance ever was wasted in smoke and bloody dust of war. White helmets trapped in Syrian oil fields in Feno. No rescue for my baby. There perishes my love. I don't have money to call my mother to say, I love you. For like Allah, there is no Wi-Fi broadband into my father's grave. If I had money, I would call my younger father to also say, I love you, Dad. I'm wearing old, faded, tattered clothes on my body because I haven't had any money to buy new clothes since the start of the Syrian war. At that time, somebody said to me, ignorant you. Conflict is healthy. Conflict is the essence of human progress. And I said to him, does Assad really think he'll ever crush the opposition? The ill-informed wise man told me I'm a fool. So it's okay. I can stay broke till there are no more people, till there's nothing left to genocide for in Syria. So much for conflict, for human progress. At this very moment, I cry. Europe, little Farah and little Ali have defied the bombs, have defied the seas, have arrived alive at your shores. Show them what humanity is all about, independent of what Allah wills. It can be right to deny them the taste of liberty and peace. It can be right that I stand here and cry for money, for telephones, new clothes, when little Miriam and little Mustafa's clutched in parents' arms, cry for life at the bottom of the sea. At this very moment, I cry for hope. Fuck the money. Fuck the war, God. Amen. War is war. It kills, it destroys by default. The nature of war is a constant, it doesn't change. Check this video here to hear my contention. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show and found it of value to you. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We have 385 subscribers as of recording this video. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 plus by Christmas 2024. Till next time, love and peace.